Hi, it's Miss Todoric, and today we're going to go over the first 3 chapters of our web design book. This is written by McManus, and the ISBN number is 978-184078-6255. And it's $17.99 in the United States, and you can even go to www.ineasysteps.com. So that website, it's a nice book. It's in English, easy to follow, fully illustrated, and it's very simple. Simple, easy to use. I actually like their book a lot. All right, so let's begin. So I got a quote, "Web design is the art of creating websites that are attractive and easy to use." So that is the beginning of the chapter. Every chapter, they kind of start with a nice quote. So you're going to see that in most PowerPoint files. All these PowerPoint files for my students, you can visit www.misstodoric.com, and you can download this PowerPoint file in addition to like resume, business plans, pretty much everything I do in the classroom. And if you are a teacher watching this, you can go to Teachers Pay Teachers and see the entire list as well. All right, what is a website? A website is a set of related web pages located under a single domain name, typically produced by a single person or an organization. So I like to give examples. I show them like the Hershey's homepage as well as misstodoric.com. We discussed how we can make our website a success. So I showed them a lot of popular, like the FBI.gov website, like popular websites. And then we share ideas. The diversity of devices, we spoke about web designers putting themselves into the shoes of the website visitor. And we just spoke about, which is the next slide, all the different devices that people may use to view your website. And then we went around the room, and then some students, different computers, laptops, the cell phones, iPads, tablets, PS5, and then the various sizes. Some have very large flat screen televisions, others very small. So we went around and shared what we have at home. We had a thinking question over here. How might devices affect design? We discussed that. The web browser challenge. So as well as the differences in hardware used to visit websites, people often have a choice over which software they use. So for example, I showed them the different logos, which is on the next slide. There's Microsoft Internet Explorer, Chrome, and Safari, as well as Firefox. They might even use more than one. I do over here at this school. I use both Chrome and Internet Explorer. So we got to name that browser. And then I shared with them, I know this textbook is a little outdated. I wish they have maybe they do have a new edition. This was published in, I believe it was 2016. Yeah, so a lot of these, with any technology, it's always being updated. But they did get to do an assignment with these key technologies. They got to read pages 14 to 15, and they worked with a partner. And then in their own words, they explained to me what these were. So HTML, pretty much that basic language for writing web pages. Further on in the book, we get to type our own HTML code and produce web pages. And then we have CSS, JavaScript, Java, Flash. Oh, do I have 2 Flash? I gotta edit that. Server scripting languages. What am I missing? Let me just fix that real quick. All right, then we went into these top principles, using alternative text, making sure your site still works when Flash or JavaScript is off, clear and consistent navigation, making it easy to skip straight to content. And then I showed some examples of websites where sometimes you're just scrolling and scrolling and it's too long. So typically the homepage is great because you don't have to scroll down forever. Using simple language, avoid overcomplicated page layouts, and using the appropriate contrast, color, and layout. Here are some 7 steps to set up your website: planning, content creation, web design, testing, launching the website, promoting the website, and then measuring your success. And then I gave them a perfect example. I had them critique my website, and then I have to go back and make the changes. So I'm always going back and forth with these 7 steps, testing it, see how my students like it, making changes, going back, promoting it sometimes. And then I kind of measure. I kind of ask them for their feedback. And that's pretty much the end of chapter 1. All right, let's start chapter 2. This is chapter 2, planning your website. Okay, so we're going to start with the quote. Before you design your site, you need to think about its goals, competition, and audience. How will you organize its content, and how visitors will interact with it? We spoke about the purpose of your website for mistadoric.com. It's a little bit of entertainment, education. I do have a little store, so you can focus on one category. I do make money on the website, or more than one. So I can sell, educate, make money. I created a community and a small section of entertainment. And of course, it does enhance my reputation and profile. If anyone's looking for me online and social media, they'll come across my website. So there's the purpose of your website. How will you compete? We had that discussion in the class. And then understanding. I forgot the S over here. Understanding your visitors. So for me, I think I tailor to kindergarten all the way up to even college students, male, female. They're really the age range, stage of life. Some have disposable income, so they are. Others, they ask their parents as far as purchasing membership on, or even content on the website. Different experiences, devices used to access the website, and where do they use the internet. So you got to understand who is visiting your website. Sitemaps, and then we went into discussing what a sitemap is. So I gave them a definition. I showed them a sitemap, pretty much the blueprint of your website, and I gave them my sample, and then I have some student samples. So they got into a group. They took a sheet of construction paper, and I gave them these little sticky notes. And then they came, one group, this is earbud, what is it? Earbud NV. And then this group, I should make it larger so we can see, is ice cream, Oasis. And then they gave their pages, what they sell, about us, prices, and pretty much a layout of their website. Here are the student work. We have all the sitemaps. I took a picture of everyone's work and I put it together on a PowerPoint presentation. So they got to present their sitemap to the class. The first group, they did Ultimate Pitch. The second one, they did a toy factory. The third group, this was actually a real website. So the entrepreneur in this class is a student. He has his own fashion brand. He does have a website. I will share that in the video description. I'll also put the link right here on this video so you can check it out. Check out the product. So this is actually a real sitemap. All right, the other group. This was gaming. So we had a couple gaming sitemaps. We also had a couple like cell phone. This was on dogs, where they sell dog food. They also teach your dog how to do tricks. Then we had a website, a technology shop, cell phones, cases, keyboards, chargers, tablets. The next group we had actually two groups, very into auto body mechanics. So one was like car detailing, and this one, you can see this very detailed site map for their, it's called Full Boost Auto. My studio. Then we have web design, another auto shop. Digital Delights. I love the drawing over here. We had Worship. I originally looking at that, I thought it was like a website where you submit your prayers or something like that, but this is actually where they sell merchandise, hoodies, sweatpants with Bible scriptures on the merchandise. So when they got to present, everything was very clear. Here is a website on making characters, digital characters. So here's a sample in the left-hand corner of a student who's very good with art, and he enjoys making these characters. And then we get into my other period 7. It's a smaller class. The first group came up with Earbud Envy. And this is where they sell earbuds. Very creative. Love it. Love that site map. Here's another group. They did burgers and ice cream. Then we have, again, phone cases seem to be popular, as well as technology and food. And then, of course, having their own clothing. Here's another clothing brand. We have ice cream, Oasis. I like the cool combos where they put 2 different ice cream flavors together. That was interesting. Cell phone cases, what we sell, home, products about us. Those are some various web pages. Another clothing shop. And that was it. So that was the students' work. Thanks for watching, and we'll get back to chapter 2 and then chapter 3. And then they're going to present to the whole class their idea, their website. And then we went into talking about, well, this was before I gave them the project, hosting your website. Your website is made up of files that are stored on a computer that people can access over the internet. This computer is known as a web server. These files would include text, graphics, and layout instructions for your website, among other things. I showed them a couple examples of domain names. Each web page on the internet has a URL, so that stands for Uniform Resource Locator. This is the example. And then I also showed them like Hershey's.com, FBI, Mistadoric.com, a couple websites that are not blocked. .com, we went over other extensions as well, like .edu, .biz, .gov, and then the folders, and then the file name, which they're going to get familiar when they start building their website. All right, 8 domain name buying tips. So using a reputable hosting company, sometimes it's easier and cheaper to buy your domain name from your hosting company. They give like packages. I use Wix. They have a great business package. Keep it short. Visitors have to type it. Went over too fast. Okay. And then don't snooze. You snooze, you lose. So as soon as you have a domain name, definitely buy it. You don't want it to be taken. All right. So working with web designers, choose a good designer. Make sure you have a contract. And you definitely want to view their portfolio. I see my word designers off the page over here. All right. So view their portfolio and reviews and ask for references. That's pretty much it. That's the end of chapter 2. And now we'll get to chapter 3. Okay, this is chapter 3, creating effective website content. We start with the quote. Once you've planned your site, the next step is to think about its content. You could use text, photos, cartoons, audio, video, maps, or games.
Some ideas for content. You can have an About Us page, content page, how to find us, meet the team, testimonials, behind the scenes, product and service descriptions, and even presentations. Some content ideas for any website. You can have a blog, games, interviews, or even a What's New section. 8 top 10 writing tips. Put readers first, don't show off, edit, be specific, consistent, and then keep pages reasonably short. Some questions you can think about is, how big do you need your picture to be? You can easily shrink digital pictures, but it's much harder to enlarge them without losing the quality. Some images, you can look at like the logo, products, staff. Where do you find pictures? You can easily take pictures with your cell phone or your camera. When getting pictures off the internet, make sure it's copyright free. And then we went into compressing images and the various file extensions like JPEG, GIF, PNG. And then it's pretty interactive and cool to have a map to your website. And that I think that's the end. And that's the end of chapter 3. Thanks for watching.